read the runners and riders, Alex Chalk's name floated around a little bit, but wasn't seen as a front runner for the job. So Rishi Sunak bringing in someone to try and sweep in a new broom and move on from this. The Dominic Raab episode. It'll be a pretty big ask, but with a legal background, it's maybe someone you can get in and have the Justice Department speaking about justice matters, not treatment of civil servants.
Well, just some news breaking, chaps. Alex Chalk has just been appointed, we're understanding, to be the next Justice Secretary. He's or had been up until very recently, the Defence Procurement Minister. He's a KC, he is a lawyer, we were expecting that. Kieran, in terms of what we know about him, clearly the Prime Minister's going for a fresh face, relatively unknown, blank page, younger, new generation, only came in the 2015 intake.
Yeah, it does feel like, as you say, Rishi Sunak plucking someone who hadn't been talked up very much at all for this job. When you read the runners and riders, Alex Chalk's name floated around a little bit, but wasn't seen as a front runner for the job. So Rishi Sunak bringing in someone to try and sweep in a new broom and move on from this. The Dominic Raab episode. It'll be a pretty big ask, but with a legal background, it's maybe someone you can get in and have the Justice Department speaking about justice matters, not treatment of civil servants. There's a thing about working in politics in particular, but as you say, in newsrooms, other industries as well, which is about where is the line between a demanding, exacting boss and somebody who just steps over that and strays into bullying territory. And I think it's fair to say that line has shifted in recent years as well. And we've seen elements of this coming across across all workplaces in recent years, that people are having to learn and adjust to things that may have been accepted a few years ago as just part and parcel of the job, or they're just a hard taskmaster. But actually, it's not the way to treat people, and there's a lot of folk having to adjust to that in a kind of new and changing world.
Right, I think there's probably is quite a big divide of opinion on this, not seeking to defend Dominic Raab at all, but I'm just very interested in some of the comments that he's made in response to this in the Telegraph. He says that the threshold for bullying had been set so low that was a problem. And he's clearly indicating that he thought he was playing within the bounds of any rules that had been set. He thinks that he should have been able to criticise some of the civil servants who clearly thought that he had gone too far. He also makes the point that he said he was warned by a top civil servant that he was being targeted by unionised officials. Now, I'm not, as I say, laying claim to knowing anything in any detail about what happened in any of these offices, and who could assess. I don't think I can assess whether these claims are right, but it's interesting that he's making them.
I think one of the interesting things as well in the report is saying that is totally saying that Dominic Raab didn't target any particular officials for any kind of specific types of treatment. He just had his style, which clearly wasn't to everyone's taste, and it is that, as you say, the question of to whether a boss can actually inspire their staff to go and perform and do better through a kind of motivation, a positive motivation, rather than a culture of fear or worry that they're going to get bawled out for not doing a good enough job. And looking at Dominic Raab's record in government, I think it would be pretty, his opponents would certainly find it fairly easy to argue that his style hasn't improved things while he's been in any of those posts.
I would make there. I think the first point I would make is that actually the complaints about Raab go back 4 prime ministers. They go back 5 years to when he was the Brexit secretary, and it takes way too long to solve these kind of problems. I think you're right. He's going to have to look at these things. He already lost Gavin Williamson, as I recall, on a matter of bullying. He's lost Nadeem Zahawi as well. Rishi Sunak can't really afford, as a prime minister, to lose many more cabinet secretaries through situations anything like this, particularly with an election coming. But yeah, of course, he's going to have to look at that in terms of anybody he appoints. He's needing a new Minister for Justice. Will he have a wider reshuffle? Will he have a Deputy Prime Minister? Because these things are obviously important as well.